Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of R&Dgarage. I want to extend a warm welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing my channel to other people. I really appreciate it. Well, today we're doing a little bit more maintenance work on my 92 Civic hatchie. Hopefully we get a race season. If not, at least we'll be prepared for next. So we're trying to get through all the maintenance we can on this little girl, just to kind of get it prepared in case I do actually get to go down the track at some point this year. So what we're doing today is a valve adjustment. So before you take the valve cover off, it's always a good idea to spray a little bit of like glass cleaner, spray away, what have you. Just a quick spritz on top and wipe all the areas around it, because once it's off, you don't want any crap falling in. So that's what I'm going to start with. So I'm getting the top, I'm getting a little bit of the sides, the front, some in the back. Okay, and as you can see, it was a little bit dirty. We're good to go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is remove these 4 acorn nuts, and then we're going to pull off the panel right here, and then after that we're going to pull the plug wires out. So here we go. I remember these guys, and I remember how hot they got, so this time I'm wearing gloves. So we're going to take off the panel as so, set it aside, put it down here. Okay, now actually before I pull the wires, I'm going to do something that may save me a lot of grief in the long run. I'm going to go ahead and take off these 4 nuts right here. And the reason why I'm not pulling the wires quite yet is if one nut, fell into the hole where the wires have been, I don't even want to think about it. Okay, so I get my tool back. Okay, now we're going to pull the wires. There's one. And these can be a little finicky if your engine is still a little bit warm, because they're just nicely suctioned in there. So you may have to give it a really good pop. There we go. Okay, so these should come out as a set pretty much. It seems to be. There we go. So I'm going to bend these back kind of like that so they're out of the way. And now what I'm going to go ahead and do is remove 4 more acorn bolts right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm also going to slip this off as well. Okay, now there's 8 washers that you also need to take off. So I love this little magnetic tool. It's just, you guys have seen the one that I use for doing oil changes. Well, this is similar. It doesn't have like the grippy thing, but it works just as well, as you can see. And on the bottom of these washers, you'll see they have like a rubber washer underneath it. So make sure that that comes along with it. It's okay if it comes apart while you're taking it off, but just make sure you have a match set. And it's kind of handy to have a cup or something like this that's magnetic. Will stick to your, frame. So it's been helping me out a lot. Perfect. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All 8 washers are off. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slip this hose off. I'm not actually going to do it from this side because it's flared and it's just extremely hard to get on and off. So what I'm going to do is actually disconnect it from the other side. So I'm going to come in here like this, squeeze that down, and just kind of work it loose. Mailman's here. There we go. So that is off. Moving on. So sometimes the valve cover itself may be stuck to the head or a little bit hard to come off. So the way I like to pry mine off is with a pry bar. And what you can do is just kind of come down here, stick it in just a little bit, and then twist. You want to be careful, don't scratch anything up. You'll notice my valve cover looks pretty nice. And also mine has been apart like so many times that it's actually easy. But again, if you're living in a state where it snows or, you know, all that, it can be a little bit tougher to get off. So before I try the pry bar, I'm actually just going to see if, oh yeah, this is great. Perfect. Okay, and you can see my gasket's coming off already. So I'm going to set this aside and we'll be back. So just a word of advice about this gasket. Anytime there's a 90-degree angle, and obviously there's 4 of them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to want to load it up with some Honda Bond. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and we're going to clean it. So now that the valve cover is off, it's a good time to wipe it down so that there's no Honda Bond anywhere or oil or anything else residue-wise that can get into all the holes here. So I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down. It looks pretty good. The Honda Bond came right off with the gasket, which is nice, but sometimes, you know, it won't always happen. Okay, this looks good. Okay, so full disclosure, when you continue on the job now, the motor has to be completely cold. And since I just drove her about a half hour ago to get here, this is not the right time to continue. So I am actually going to finish this job tomorrow, but it'll feel like nothing to you guys because I'm gonna snap my fingers and reappear. One more note. If you're doing the same thing as me and leaving it to sit overnight, and if you're especially not in a garage or like climate controlled warehouse, something like that, go ahead and put the valve cover back on, just as a cover. You don't have to put the washers or nuts back on, but at least it'll keep it somewhat clean overnight. Okay, I'll be back. Hey guys, well, we're back, and my engine is nice and cool. So the first thing we got to do today is actually remove the driver's side rim and tire to get better access to the crank bolt. And as you can see, I already jacked her up, loosened the bolts, and now I'm going to pull them off. There we go. They're a lot lighter than the FJ tires. Moving on. Okay guys, now I'm going to take out the spark plugs. You want to do that for a valve job because once you start to manually turn over the engine using the crank bolt, you won't be fighting compression. And again, remember to tape. Okay. Oh, and I'm also just going to do the first one on camera and then do the rest off camera just to kind of save time. So remember, drop it down in here, press down hard so you can feel it, and once you break it, you can take off the ratchet and just finger loosen. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and take off the rest. Okay guys, now we're ready to begin on cylinder 1. I don't know if you can see from there, but I've stuffed a little bit of tissue into each of the other cylinders just so nothing will blow into them while I'm working on the first one. Okay, as you can see, we're ready to begin. We're going to shoot the first one a little ways out, and then I'm going to have you guys come a little closer. So this here is pretty cool. It's my extension TDC tool. And what happens is when I start turning my ratchet counterclockwise on the crank bolt, this tip is going to come out, as you'll see, and then right before it starts to dip down again, my pulleys should be aligned. And cool thing about these pulleys is on one of the tabs, it says up on each one. And so that's another good indication when they both say up, then you should be good to go. And let's see, we're almost good. Okay, whenever you leave the area, take your tool off the crank bolt because you don't want someone to catch a leg, you don't want someone to start up the car, it's just not a good scene. And I think we are good to go. Okay, oh yeah, always counterclockwise on this, never clockwise. Not needed, not good. Okay, so much information. Okay, so you guys watch that tip, and I'm going to watch as well, obviously. Here we go, and see things start to turn. Ooh, look at it go. And we are just about there. Okay, that looks good. And I have both up and up on the pulleys. So this is great. Time to move on. Okay guys, so here's a closer view of what it should look like. You can see on the pulleys themselves the up tabs where it says up. And then if we come in a little bit here, I marked down with a Sharpie where the factory stated where they should be meeting up. So this looks good. Okay, so this is only for cylinder number 1, but you can see where the TDC mark lines up with the timing chain cover. Okay guys, now we're going to check the gap with my feeler tool. So basically, we're checking the gap between the camshaft and the rockers. This first side should be between 7 and 8 thousandths, and then on the cooler side, it should be between 6 and 7 thousandths. And again, I'm going to post a pic of the actual, well, those are the actual specs, but I'll post a pic of it from our manual in the middle of this video. And what I'm actually going to do, since this one is between, like I said, 7 and 8, I'm going to go ahead and put my 8 gapper in there and see if it fits. You want to be careful with this tool because the edges are super sharp, so I always like to wear gloves. Okay, and like I said, what you're going to do is fit it in between here and the 8. Fits really, really well. So I'm going to go ahead and try the 9 just to see if that one fits. Because if that one fits, that's not good and we have to go back. These are somewhat awkward to get all the sizes out. 10, 10. There's 9. Okay. So hopefully this doesn't. And you don't want to shove it in there. You just want to be very gentle. And oh, sweet, the 9 does not fit. So this is good. I'm not even going to bother checking with the 7 because if 8 fits, obviously we know 7 fits. So I'm going to go over here and find the 7 thousandths and check that out. Oops. 6, 7. Here we go. From behind. This is kind of awkward. Oh yeah, 7 fits really, really well, even with having to maneuver. So it fit well on that side, it fits great on there. I'm going to go ahead and check with the 8 to make sure that that doesn't fit. And then we're ready to move on. Here's the 8. Okay. And that doesn't seem to fit, so that is good. Perfect, we're ready to move on. Okay, well we finished up cylinder 1. Let's move on to cylinder 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the plug of tissue that we made. Set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this tool and screw it into the third cylinder. So. In there. So it's basically the same drill. We're going to be moving our ratchet counterclockwise. And remember how on these pulleys, both ups on each side were pointing up? Well, now we're going to go pointing, we're just going to move basically a quarter turn so that both ups are now pointed towards the exhaust side. And just making sure we're all set. And we are good to go. Yay! Okay. And so you always want to keep an eye on it. This one can go a little bit faster. Not can go a little bit faster, but it feels like it goes faster because you're not going that far. There goes the compression. And we're just about there. Okay, that looks good. We're going to check it out and bring you guys in a little bit closer. Here's a closer look at the pulley orientation. Okay, so now we're going to use our gapping tool here and see if we're good to go, basically. So remember, on this side it should be between 6 and 7 thousandths, and then on the front side it should be between 7 and 8 thousandths. So what I'm actually going to do right here is, first I'll check with the 7 and then I'll check with the 8, just to make sure everything's okie dokie. Okay. Oh, and remember, you don't want to just shove it in. You got to be gentle and, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so that seems to fit. Oh yeah, that actually goes in pretty easy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check it with the 8. There's my 8. Okay. So we'll see if this fits. If this fits, then we're going to have to do something else. Ooh, no, that doesn't fit. Good. Perfect. Okay, so that side is great. Let's go ahead and check the front side. And so this one should be between 7 and 8. So what I'm going to do is start with the 8 and then move up to the 9. There we go. Oh yeah, that goes in nice. A little tight, but okay, let's try the 9. There we go. Okay, so 9 should not be able to go in. And yeah, no, remember, you don't want to shove it in, so yeah, 9 does not fit. Perfect, we can move on to another one. Okay, now we're ready to move on to cylinder 4. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tissue plug, and I'll just put it right there. Remove this tool. Okay, we are good to go. So now, moving back over here. So this time, the pulley is going to turn over, the 2 pulleys are going to turn over another quarter turn. So again, we're going to keep our eye on the TDC tool over there, and we're going to watch the pulley over here, and we're going to get her done. Remember, counterclockwise. Should be, yep, there it goes. looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and check our gaps. So I'm going to slide in the 8/1000ths here. And oh wow, that actually fits really, really well. That fits well there too. Let's go ahead and check the 9, which should not fit. So 6. There's the 9. Okay. Yep, nope. Awesome, that is perfect. Okay, let's check the other side. And I'm going to start with the 7 and then move up to the 8. We got 6, 7. Here we go. This one's a little awkward. Yeah, that seems to fit. It's just kind of awkward back here. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm going to check the 8, and hopefully that does not fit, and we can move on. Oops. Don't want to bend the tool. But if I can move a little bit closer here. No, because then I can't see. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't fit on that side. That does not fit on that side. Awesome, moving on. Okay, well let's move on to cylinder 2. So I'm going to remove the plug and the tool. Okay, well you guys, you know what? Same drill. We're gonna move it over just another quarter turn, counterclockwise, and we should be good to move on from there. So let's do this. And even though we know what to do, it's best to move slow rather than just yanker. So. There she goes. So I'm keeping my eye on both the pulleys and the tool, but you kind of after a while get a sense of when to stop. And that looks good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and check the gap. Okay, so like I said, we're checking the gap. So I'm gonna start with an 8 down here. Oh, that slides right in. Beautiful. So let's check the 9, make sure that doesn't fit. Nope. Yep, nope. Okay, let's go around to the other side. And I'm gonna, let's see, stick in the 7 first. Make sure that fits. Oh yeah, that goes right in. Awesome. Beautiful. Check it with the 8. Make sure that doesn't go in. Yep. That doesn't want anything to do with these guys. Perfect. Okay, we're moving on from here. Okay guys, just to give you a little closer look, this is exactly where we're sticking the gapping tool. Right in between the camshaft and the rocker. And you see how it just slides in. That's what you want. So let's say your gaps were a little too tight or a little too loose. Well, we're going to show you what to do. So this tool is pretty cool. It's by Powerbuilt, and it's kind of a 2-in-1 tool. And the model number is right up there. Okay. So what we're going to do is pull in a little bit tight so I can show you exactly what this tool does. So the first thing you want to do is pull the screwdriver side out and fit it down onto the nut. There we go. And now you can slide it down and break that nut gently. There we go. And now you can take the screwdriver side again, and I should have left it actually in there. And what you're going to do is turn it either clockwise or counterclockwise to tighten or loosen so that it's within spec. And after you're done with that, torque it back up and go ahead and check everything. So when I said torque back to factory spec, it may have looked like I was trying to do that with the other tool, but what you're going to want to use is your actual torque tool. So. There we go. Perfect. So you can go ahead and repeat this process until everything is back in spec. Every time you adjust that nut though, you do have to torque it to factory spec. Super important. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish adjusting this, and once I'm done with that, I'll show you what comes next. Okay guys, it's time to put the spark plugs back in. So I'm just gonna insert the first one here, get it finger tight, and then torque it to factory spec, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera just to kind of save time. And remember, I mean, obviously, since we're installing spark plugs, hopefully you took the tissue out anyway, but just make sure it's out. Okay. This is a delicate process here. Go ahead and torque this guy. I don't know what I was going to just do with the ratchet. That would have been fun to watch. Okay, so this is the part that makes me nervous. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next three. The spark plugs are in. Now I'm going to take a paper towel, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and just kind of wipe down where the gasket's going to go. You also want to make sure there's no oil on the timing belt, and yeah, just kind of wipe her down a little bit. And the front, back, side to side. Cameraman is clutching his head right now. Perfect. So we also want to clean the bottom of the valve cover. And so what that means is right through this gap here, be careful in the corners because it's a little bit sharp, all the way around, including this section. And you also want to wipe off the rubbers too, and make sure that they're soft and not hard, because you can totally reuse these if they're still soft. So that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, these are great. Still soft. Okay. Okay guys, it's Honda Bond time. So this is definitely going to be an all-in-one step because this stuff cures pretty quick. And so this whole process should maybe take about 5 minutes or less. So what I'm going to do is do all four corners of the panel here. I've already gotten that one done right here. So just like squirt a little bit and kind of smear it up, kind of smear it down on the other side. And then after that, you can see, I don't know if you want to point the camera over here, but we've got the gasket already in the valve cover. And so as soon as we're done with that, I'm going to plop it on top. So let's go back to Honda bonding. So basically what you're going to first do is kind of caulk it in the corner there so it kind of like smears. So I'm going to do the other side first and then I'll come around. And it really, really helps if you have a syringe. just a little bit. You don't want to put a whole lot. Even that was probably just a little bit too much, but that's okay. We'll kind of smear it around here. There we go. Okay, that's getting sticky. Okay, perfect. I'm going to set this aside and let's go ahead and put our valve cover back on. Beautiful. Awesome. Oh, this looks great. Okay, and then I should probably have grabbed a towel. So now I've got Honda Bond on top of my valve cover, so I want to wipe that off really quick. And I just touched it, so I put more on. There we go. Okay, so from there, remember to put these rubber guys into place before you put on the nuts. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all that. Sorry guys, our battery died. So anyway, we're still putting on our nuts now. So we've got the acorn ones on the four corners. And remember, you're going to have 4 extra ones, but that's when we put on the panel. Acorn ones, and then these open-ended guys, remember, go in the middle here. Okay, time to move on. Okay guys, now it's time to torque them down to factory spec. Much like the spark plugs, you're going to want to be very, very careful and gentle. It'll just be kind of like a dull click rather than the kaboom that we're used to. Just like that. I don't know if you guys could hear that. Awesome, we are all torqued down. Okay guys, now we're going to put the plug wires back in, we're going to put the panel back on, and we're going to reconnect the hose to the intake. Remember, these should go in a particular order, already lined out. There we go. It's kind of remind me of like those cow milking machines. Random, I know. And you have to really press, so that one went in. These are all straight. That is not right. There we go. When it fits in perfectly, that means you got it. Okay. Do these acorn nuts. Actually, I'll take off as it goes. Pretty good. Okay. And now, actually, would you mind giving me a pair of pliers? Oh, they are right here. Perfect. So I'm going to put this hose back on. That. Remember these guys. Ooh, that was close. Okay, so we are done with that job. This looks good. Moving on. Okay guys, now that we're done with this job, the next thing you want to do is actually break the crank bolt with an impact wrench just to kind of get it loose again since we messed around a lot with it, and then go ahead and torque it back to factory spec. Super important. It's also what Honda recommends. Oh, valve adjustment. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Loved getting dirty today. This was great. The last couple days, I guess. Anyway, I want to thank again all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to R&Dgarage, for liking my videos, and for sharing my videos. I look forward to bringing you more content very, very soon.